Well, hello there, sunflowers, and how are you guys today? Well, I am here to do a astrology deep dive. Well, not a deep dive, an overview of what has fallen onto me today because how am I going to break this down? I have notes right here in front of me to help me along the way, and these are the key highlights that I want to take away. Also, I will have the charts that I'm talking about right here as I'm talking about them. However, it all started off with the fact that today is February 28th, the very end of February, and man, oh man, is it a is it a month or a day, I should say. So first off, let's talk about how today is an economic blackout / boycott, and it is held by the grassroots organization, also underneath the same name or part of an organization called the People's Union USA, all held by John Schwartz, founder. And basically what a grassroots community is a non-profited organization that is created by the community, by pretty much everyday people, and it's to get a movement going. And for this particular one, John wants to help with the economics. And what is the People's Union USA? What is their goal or their mission statement? To basically have fairness, to have economic justice, and to have real systemic change. And he declared that this was not a political move or had any political affiliation, because people, once they started catching wind of this, they're just like, hey, this is great. If we're going to take back and do something with the community, why not take this as an opportunity to put it back to local businesses, the community, and put it back into, as some people did with the DEIs, put it back into Black-owned businesses. Because the another thing about grassroots organizations is that they're all focused on the minority and the marginalized communities that are underrepresented and do not have justice for them. So all great, love that. Just in essence, an idea in theory, it sounds great. However, I'm not quite sure how successful that was today. But the one thing is that this is mostly a statement and a movement. And I will also have right here all the other dates, not that I'm promoting, but all the other dates, just bringing the facts, all the other dates that the People's Union USA are going to be holding. And what I learned is that one thing in particular is when this is first time ever, let's just do a day, a whole 24 hours, and see how that affects the community or helps affect the government. I'm sure if a lot more people participated in it, it would have hurt a little bit. They would have felt like a little coin fall, like the organizations would have been coins, change for them, where they're just like, but they don't feel it. So let's see how Amazon feels it for an entire week. Furthermore, let's really see how people can go without shopping for an entire week. And furthermore, let's just take this into consideration. I understand that this whole point is to have because people are saying, if you're going to do this, buy everything you need beforehand. So instead of buying your gas on February 28th, buy it before February 28th or after February 28th. Things like that. I'm like, okay, but if you guys do that, you are indirectly filling up their pockets, because that's exactly what you went and did. Just because you didn't buy it and purchase it on the 28th doesn't mean that you did not contribute to that business, period. So it's kind of counterintuitive and retro progressive, but that's okay. I understand where we're trying to come from. And apparently, if this is more successful and if many people join in on this, we'll see how the government has to respond. However, now it is time to break down astrology, because that's the overtone of what today, February 28th, is all about, 2025. And what is very important about this day as well it is a planetary parade, which basically means where the sun, moon, and all the planets align in the sky to basically form a parade or a train or like an assembly line where it's like planet back to back to back to back. That doesn't happen quite often. When that does happen, that means that they happen to align a certain way in the sky. Yes, we might get them 2-3 times a year, but it's not something that is significant because there's levels to this. This one I think is a 7-planet one. It's hard to get an all 8 one, and let alone have like every single planet period in our solar system to line up like that. So because this is a 7-planet, 3 is more common. 5 is kind of pushing it. 7 is like doing great, honestly. So because this is this kind of parade, I want to look at this. And because this is on Friday, it is the day of Venus, which is all about love, which is all about material gains and the luxuries and leisures. All things that have to deal with Venus, all things that are physical, tangible. That rules Taurus. Venus rules Taurus, but Venus also rules Libra, which we are in the age of Aquarius, and Libra too is an air sign, just like Aquarius. And Libra is all about justice, bringing back into balance, kind of helping the community, but really working in a partnership and a team together, knowing how to work with each other. So that's just a whole important rundown about Venus and this day in particularly before I jump right into the real meat and potatoes of this video. So what is so important to set the stage for this is that yesterday, February 27th, was a new moon. New moons usually last 2 to 3 days. Each phase of the moon lasts about 2.5 days. So really 3 days. So we are in this new moon phase, and a new moon is when the moon is behind, appears before the sun. So therefore we can't see it during the day. So that means at night, the moon is nowhere to be seen. And that's very important because that is a cazimi. I know, fancy word here, a cazimi, or actually a combustion. Honestly, that was actually yesterday. Today, we're kind of feeling the lingering effects. So we're still more in a cazimi point of view where we're at this close to like exact, we have this close exact conjunction. And so with today is the fact that it's a new moon, and when it's cazimi, it's like an exact conjunction. It's rebirthing itself. Any planet that conjuncts the sun will experience a cazimi, which is a rebirth, a regeneration, going through a new cycle. So this is what the moon is all going through. But guess what? Sorry. But guess what? In 2 weeks, all right, I am back and I am thoroughly offended. Why? Wow. Very Aquarius, like very Mercurian, like, which is very fitting for this energy. So, technology, stop playing with me today. Please let me get this message out. So with that being said, 2 weeks from now is going to be a lunar eclipse. 2 weeks from now is going to be a lunar eclipse. Did you guys hear that? So in 2 weeks, I will look this up actually, because I just went up and got tested to use a telescope in my school, and my professor literally said that day that there was going to be a lunar eclipse in 2 weeks from that exact date, which was yesterday. So on the 13th, on March 13th, there was going to be a lunar eclipse at approximately 2:30 in the morning, I think he said. So with that being said, I hope to see you guys there. I think I will definitely be there. However, in 2 weeks, there's going to be a lunar eclipse. So that's very important because usually when a lunar eclipse happens, you start feeling the energy 2 weeks prior and 2 weeks after. So whatever today is, whatever is going on today, February 28th, is something that's going to ramp up, and what we're basically going to be feeling for the next month, pretty much. So with that being said, that's why I really wanted to come in on here, as well as there's something else I'm going to share that pretty much vexed me and had me panicking for my life. I talked about this planetary parade that is happening tonight at 5:58 p.m. So in just about an hour from when I'm recording this video, how fitting. And it's supposed to be reaching peak optimal viewing at 7:28 p.m. Now here's the problem with this. When it says that it's most optimal at viewing at 7:28, that's because the sun is below the horizon enough where the sunlight is not going to hide away the fainter planets, so we're going to be able to see the fainter planets better. But that being said, most of the parade is around the sun. So the seven planet parade is basically going to turn into a 3 planet parade that we're going to really only be able to visibly see. So because of that, the 3 planets that are going to be most visible to us is Jupiter and Gemini, which is not a favorable place in astrology. Venus in Aries, also not a favorable place in astrology. And Mars in Cancer, also not a favorable place. So because of that, actually everything I'm going to be talking about is not in its favorable place. So this really shows how there is extreme tension. And we need to put some love. We need to put some sensitivity. We need to put that TLC. We've got to put that feminine receptive energy in there. This is the year of the snake. And this is the year of feminine energy. Rise to the feminine power. And so it shall be. And because of that, let's not forget that Venus is also just completing a 2 to 4 year cycle, that a 4-year cycle, because the last time an 8-year cycle, because last time 8 years ago when Venus was in this exact position, you do the math, who was the president 8 years ago? So we're revisiting cycles, revisiting something that is going to actually have a bit more of a power, because when you revisit the exact same position, when you have basically a Venus return and these cycles resurface themselves, they are there for a reason, for us to pay attention, to really take some time and reflect. And each time it comes up, those are different aspects and qualities that we need to either assess, embrace, or figure out why now, and why is all this energy. As you know, on this channel, Mama Crone and I have been talking and preaching about energy and masculine Mars and feminine Venus energy. So because of that, that's everything in the universe. We all have that in us. We could tap into either or whenever we choose to. But the thing is, there is an overwhelmingly amount of feminine energy on this planet from all genders and races. So because of that, there has to be something that makes you really want to stop and sit and think and ponder, why is the feminine screaming to be seen? So because of that, another thing about Venus is that soon Venus will go below the horizon, which basically means that so if Venus is like right here and the sun is right here, slowly Venus is going to catch up to the sun and then surpass the sun. So what does that mean? Venus will rise before the sun rises instead of setting after the sun sets. So instead of being a night star, Venus is going to become a morning star. So even there, that shows, that's even better. That's even better, because day represents the sun, and the sun is a masculine energy. And then the nighttime represents the moon, which is the feminine energy. So right there tells us that there's going to be a shift in the Venusian energy, about the fact that it's definitely going to go more within. We just came out of a Venus retrograde too, but there's more. But wait. There's more. The nodes, the north and south node, at the time of this optimal viewing time at 7:28 p.m., the nodes are literally going to be on the horizon. Think about it like a seesaw, perfectly balanced. That's how those are how the nodes are going to be. And the nodes have to deal with the dance of the sun and the moon. But the ascending and the descending is very important because they are the angles in the zodiac in the astrological wheel, which symbolizes coming above the horizon. So therefore, you're becoming more visible. It's more easily expressed versus the descendant, which is going below the horizon, which is more subconscious, things that you tuck away and you don't want people to see. So there's that shift, that duality with the north and south node, where the north node is all about moving forward consciously, moving forward to something. Your soul is evolving. It needs that. And then the south node represents what's comfortable, your safe haven, what you fall back on when times of need. So that duality, that balance, when you feel comfortable, you don't want to move. So you're not going to progress forward. You're going to stay stuck. And the fact that this is happening in Venus, I'm not in Venus, happening in Pisces, as we are in Pisces season. So it is Pisces, and what's opposite of Pisces? Virgo. And this duality of energy symbolizes the fact because these nodes are soon going to be transitioning out of Pisces and Virgo into Aries and Libra, which is super important. Actually, did I weirdly highlight that? I did. I will come back to that about, that chef's kiss, delicious. So this duality, like I said, highlights the fact, and because this is in Pisces, Pisces represents the two fish swimming in opposite directions, the ascending and the descending. So this is a great place for both the north and south node to be, but also Pisces and what this, and the horizon and what that symbolizes. So this is teaching us to blend the two worlds, the high heavens and the subconscious, the physical and the spiritual, the reality and the subconscious. It's finding the blend of those two worlds, the conscious and the subconscious. So that all led me down to wondering, today, at approximately 2:13 p.m., I have received a warning, a fire watch warning. And at that time, when I got that notification, Venus was conjunct the midheaven, which means the midheaven is the pentacle. It's the top. It's at the zenith. It's where actually you're going to get the most energy and have the most potent of that planet, because it doesn't have to go through so much atmosphere. It's like a direct line, bam. If you go anywhere like on the sides, on the outskirts, just think of it like a circle. The top of the circle is much more direct, where when you're coming down at an angle, you got a lot more paths to travel. So because of that, because when I got this notification, just when Venus was at its peak, on its beautiful day of Friday, and we have all this economic stuff going on top of the planetary parade, I wondered, because Venus is a fiery planet. Venus is beautiful. Venus is love. Look at this. I'm wearing pink to symbolize romanticism. However, do not F with Venus. Do not F with the feminine energy. There is a volcanic, aggressive nature underneath Venus that is not seen. So that made me wonder, what is so significant about this fire warning? Because I don't know if you guys, if anything, any bells and alarms rang off for you. But when I saw that, I thought of the California, LA fires. And I was like, whoa. I'm like, a fire warning. I'm just like, I hope nobody's crazy enough to actually go out there and set a fire. So when is this fire watch and what is it? Well, here, if you're on the East Coast, specifically in the DMV area, from on March 1st, which is tomorrow, from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., there is a fire watch warning. And what are the conditions that could just stir up this good old fire? High winds, low humidity, and low humidity means that there's not moisture in the air. And because if there's not water and moisture in the air, it's dry, it's stuffy, you could choke. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. And then they said that it is favorable conditions. So all that is concoction to say, if anybody out there is really crazy enough, you can start a fire and it will spread in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. That's what's going on over here. So this warning, let's talk about it. Let's break down the numerology a little bit. This is March 1st. We're at the home stretch. We're almost at Aries. Keep that in mind. We're almost at the beginning of spring. So it's almost fire season, metaphorically. So because of that, for March to come in like a fire, even just in theory and not physically, that says something for how potent Aries is about to be. So because of that, another thing is that when this fire is supposed to happen, I look specifically at 11 a.m. when this is supposed to start, because I'm just like, what's going to initiate this? What should we be looking for them to sit there and think, yes, exactly at 11 a.m., this warning should go out. What is so special about 11 a.m.? Minus the fact that 11 is a gateway portal number. Let's break down the numerology then. That's when I had to start thinking, okay, something's getting planned here, because I don't think LA, I don't know if I live in I know I don't live in LA, but I don't know if y'all LAans got a fire watch warning, but here it's suspicious and it's raising alarms and bells for me. So what is so important about 11 a.m.? Well, first off, at the time of 11 a.m., there is this thing called an interception. And an interception means that a zodiac sign, there's 12 zodiac signs. And depending on the latitude and how the sky is compressing, certain houses can be huge and certain houses can be small. So depending on how huge a house is, it can fit 2 signs. And if it fits 2 signs, then that sign is hidden. It's mass. It's like being recessive. If we're thinking about biology, it's something you don't see. And because that's something you don't see, it's something a little bit extra that's beneath the surface, that's in the deeper subconsciousness that we need to acknowledge. And what is particularly intercepted? You remember I told you to take note of this? Aries and Libra, Mars and Venus. Even though those planets aren't in there, those are the Aries and Libra are signs that are ruled by Mars and ruled by Venus. So because of that, their energy is being masked. And that is something very important to take note, because there has been this dance with Mars going retrograde, Venus going retrograde. There's some dance between the masculine and feminine. It's happening cosmologically, and we see it play out here on the physical earth. And because of that, because that's intercepted. Now, signs are intercepted, but I was talking about houses. So what houses are going to be intercepted? So this means that this house, the 11th house, was big, wide open for, actually, let me double check. Hold on. I did not mean, okay. So I'm actually going to do this math. It's going to be Aries that is going to be intercepted in the 11th house. And therefore, in the 5th house below the horizon, Libra is going to be intercepted. And what is so significant about the 11th house and the 5th house? Well, first off, 11 a.m., 11th house. Big clear as day, if you ask me. But the 5th house is all about how you have fun, but the 5th house is also ruled by Leo, which is the sun sign. I just thought of that. So that's a significant layer of the fact that the 5th house is going to be more emphasized. And the 11th house is Aquarius. We are in the age of Aquarius. Pluto is 2 degrees into Aquarius. 2. Do we see the number 2? 11 is 2. So because of that, the number 2, unity, harmony, balance, coming together, weighing it out, duality, the beauty of dance, whatever you want to call it. This is what we are really push to experience or explore or acknowledge. So if houses are intercepted and signs are intercepted, speaking of duality, that means a sign and a house has to be therefore emphasized. So instead of it being taking over one house, it now takes over two houses. And what planets, what particularly is going to be emphasized during this period of this fire warning? Cancer and Capricorn. Now, you're probably wondering what's so significant about that. Well, actually, there's nothing really significant about Capricorn. Sorry, Capricorn. But in Cancer, this is where it's significant. You remember how I said Mars rules Aries? And that is Mars energy. Well, even though Aries, its home, where it's used to, is going to be intercepted and not felt, Mars itself is going to be exposed beneath the horizon, but exposed in the sense of it's going to be emphasized. We basically say we don't need the Aries energy. Mars is going to be a rampant fire expression of it. So if we had Aries also there too, it would be a little bit too much. And because of that, what is actually more important, I actually did just dis Capricorn. However, Cancer is in the second house and Capricorn is in the 8th house. And that's where it's important, because I said earlier, this warning is from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. 8 p.m., the 8th house. Now, that's what I found interesting. The 8th house, now that I'm thinking about it, symbolizes hidden things, taboo, death, how we process money from other people. Actually, just thinking about that, what we inherit, how we spend, who we give our money to, things like that. Is all like 8th house things, but also dealing with loss, dealing with taking L's, if we want to get a little bit more modern. So because of that, learning how to process those things and growing from them, and know that there are miniature deaths that we experience in life, and through those miniature deaths, those miniature periods of loss, we grow, we evolve, and we shine bright like a Capricorn, because Capricorns are all about their image and how they come out and stand in the world. So now, all that to be said, the last thing I want to highlight in this is the fact that, speaking of numerology, let's talk about what these planets are. Oh, also the fact that March 1st, 2025 is on a Saturday, and that's the day of Saturn, and Saturn is conjunct the sun at this moment, like literally Kazemi, like that, like they kissing conjunct kind of thing. So because of that, also, speaking of Saturn, Saturn soon in March or May is going to have its rings temporarily disappear, and we're not going to be able to see it. And that is significant, because Saturn represents society, structures, and what we allow ourselves to be confined and restricted by. Those are what the rings of Saturn represent. So for those rings to temporarily disappear, there's going to be a temporary aha moment, a temporary moment where things are going to seem a lot more clearer, a lot more freer. It's going to be feeling like you're on cloud 9, basically. There's nothing holding you back. And because of that, the fact that Saturn is just about to go through this new cycle, now that it's conjunct the sun right before the rings disappear, is showing us how we right now that we're feeling in February, and what this March, because this is going to be on March 1st that this happens, when this fire warning is supposed to be happening. So because of that, for that to happen on Saturn, that's another thing of, hey, pay attention. Hey, look at how the society is running. It's like a wake up call. Like it's like the red flag guy just waving at you. That's how Saturn is on this day. And because of that, let's talk about numerology. The sun is at 11 degrees. That 2 again. Jupiter is at 12 degrees, which is a number 3. March is the 3rd month. So that's important. And Jupiter's not in a favorable position. The moon today of this recording, February 28th, is in Pisces. But tomorrow, when this fire warning is supposed to happen here in the DMV area, the moon would have moved into Aries and will be at 3 degrees of Aries from the time I'm recording this video to when this so like I'll say in less than a little over in 12 hours, the moon's going to be completely in a different sign. Wow, look at that. The number 3 right there, just estimating. So a little more than 12 hours, the moon will have moved into Aries and moved into the 3rd degree position, which there goes that number 3 again with March, but also the fact that it is in Aries. And oh my God, now that I just mentioned it, I just said that Aries is going to be intercepted. So the moon is now intercepted. And the moon is also not in a favorable place either. But guess who is in the moon's home? Cancer. And Mars is in Cancer. So right now, Cancer and Aries and the moon and Mars are squaring up. They're squabbling up. They're just like, hey, you cramping my vibe. And they're just like mutual respect here. You're cramping my vibe also. And so moving on, Saturn is at 20 degrees. If you drop the 0, there goes 2. And Saturn is also not in a favorable position. Isn't this great? Venus is at the 10th degree. And if you drop the 0, it's a 1. And this is on March 1st. There's that 1. Venus is also not in a favorable position. And then we have, weirdly enough, the only number that isn't a 2 or isn't a 3 is Mars, being the oddball. But that is, go figure, that is Mars. That is masculine energy, just going off doing whatever they want to, at the number 17, which corresponds to the number 8. So, and Mars is also not in a favorable position. So what do we get about how all these planets are literally just in stressful positions? Well, tensions are rising high economically and politically and societal and in the society and just here on Earth. Earth is frustrated with everybody and everybody's frustrated with everybody. So what are we going to do from here? And the one thing that I took away from this is that there is too much tension during this period. So because there is too much tension, we really got to be careful. It's definitely not a time to act, because if somebody acts, if somebody does something differently, and like I was just saying, DC, you know what's in DC. Why would they want to put this warning out to let somebody blatantly actually try to F around and find out? Like, that is ridiculous to me. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed my astrological reading. I hope I remained calm and expressed the importance, and hopefully my notes was able to express to you guys everything that is going on within the next, really, I'll say next month, but I really just recap the next, these 3 days. And there goes the number 3. I highlighted Thursday, which is Jupiter Day. I highlighted Friday, which is Venus Day. And then I highlighted Saturday, which is Saturn Day. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this. Please, you leave your comments down below. If you have any comments to say, anything you would like to share astrologically. Oh, also, if you're in the DMV area, did you get this notification? And if so, how did you guys react? Did you have a heart palpitation of, because I sure did. I really did, honestly. And that's what it like struck and hit me. What is going on astrologically for this to happen? So with that being said, I think I've calmly explained myself and pretty much laid it out perfectly of how it was digested to me. And hopefully you guys can digest it too. And with that being said, I hope to see you sunflowers in the next one. Sunflowers! Sunflowers!